With that, I would like now to begin our conversation by inviting our distinguished speaker from the world's largest refugee camps and to share their experience, stories, and future perspective. They will not only share their voice, they will be on behalf of our entire Rohingya community. So please welcome Mr. Sayyidullah. He is a Maulana and teacher, has been engaged in several dialogue with Myanmar, ASEAN, and others Rohingya crisis working toward resolution through the diplomacy. Please welcome to the stage.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa tu'izzu man tasha wa tuzillu man tasha biyadikal khair innaka ala kulli shay'in qadir. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like to express my thanks to the Bangladesh government and its people for sheltering 1.3 million forcibly displaced Myanmar nationals. Especially thanks this program organizer for on Rohingya issue. There is no secret about the Rohingya. Who are Rohingya? Where are Rohingya from? Everyone knows that. First, I would like to tell about the first wave of genocide on 2017. In 2017, the Myanmar security forces and Buddhist extremists violence crimes on us means this is the first wave of genocide on Rohingya. Its results, 10,000 Rohingya were killed and selected. 108,000 women and girls were raped and gang raped in front of parents, in front of husbands. The children were selected in front of parents, in front of relatives, and thrown onto the fire. Now, 8 years, what will change the world? It is my question from the world community. We are still suffering inside the refugee camps, but we did not see anything still for our sustainable, dignified return to our ancestral homeland of Arakan. In 2024, there are second wave of genocide by the Rakhine rebel group Arakan Army. The results, 4,000 Rohingya were killed and selected. 158,000 Rohingya were fled to Bangladesh and other neighboring countries, including Yangon. Under the management of Muslim Reduction Unit of Arakan Army, they are systematically pushing to our people to other countries. They have intentionally, systematically planned to drive out our Rohingya peoples. As an example, on 2 May 2024, in Tanjau Camp village, Hoyasiri, there are 600 Rohingya were killed and selected by the Arakan Army. On 17 May 2024, in Butidon, Downtown, and Lawada Pranche, Lawada Bazanchong, Choprudon, Teminchong, Nakindo, all villages were systematically burned down by the Rakhine rebel group Arakan Army. More than 1,000 Rohingya were intentionally killed and selected. But international community are totally failed for the effective action and protection of the Rohingya people. We see a series of statements and reports and uncountable conferences, events, media conferences, so on. What are the results? All are good for nothing. Refugee life is not a choice. It is circumstance. Every human being may fall on that. Refugee life is like not easy. It is hell. Enough is enough. Let's go home. Enough is enough. Let's go home. We have every document that Arkan army killed on Rohingya people and other civilians. We have everything on details. Inshallah, we will help to the international mechanism to process their mission. The world recognizes that Rohingyas are most persecuted minority of the world. Persecuted does not mean Rohingya cannot do anything. Persecuted does not mean Rohingya cannot belong any country. Persecuted does not mean Rohingya cannot take any citizenship in any country. Persecuted does not mean Rohingya cannot belong their education rights. Persecution does not mean Rohingya cannot survive like other people around the world. Now, need your help to take action. Now, need your support. Now, need your cooperation with Bangladesh government and Rohingya relieving actors for the sustainable and dignified return of the Rohingya people with safety, security, and dignity. We requesting today one timeline for returning of the Rohingya people to our ancestral homeland of Arakan state of Myanmar. We wanted justice and accountability. Delaying of justice is encouraging the perpetrators to do again crime on victims. Delaying of justice encouraging perpetrators to do more crimes on the victims. So we are requesting quick justice for the Rohingya people and sustainable repatriation to our ancestral homeland of Arakan. Now the time is practical action, not empty promises. Now the time is for action, no empty statement, no empty conferences, no empty statement. Arkan Zindabad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our first speaker, Maulana Sadullah Sahab, already mentioned about a brutality massacre of state and non-state. I see in form of our justice mechanism and international expert and also a special envoy on Myanmar. And I also see international the investigation mechanism chief here also. I hope that you recognize what our speaker mentioned that. Now I would like to introduce our second speaker and the topic of the second speaker. What the future do you want to see in the Arakan? Is for you and also for your children. We people belong to Arakan, Arakan belong to us. So we want to return to our country on time now from today. But the situation makes us that the current situation is not allowing to us to return to our homeland as soon as possible. So international community with the support and cooperation of the Bangladesh government, we need to make a situation that allows Rohingya people to stay and peacefully in the Arakan state, and we want to develop our society like we have been thousands of the years in the Arakan state. Now I would like to invite our second speaker, Mr. Furkan Miza. He is a Rohingya activist, also computer engineer. He is also survivor of 2017. Currently, he is working for the Rohingya community, also youth empowerment right now. I would like to invite our second speaker. Welcome.
In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Honorable sirs, distinguished guests, and respected reporters, may Almighty's peace be upon you all. It is a great honor and a special privilege for me to stand before you as a Rohingya youth whose future has been profoundly affected by the genocidal system of Myanmar. First and foremost, I would like to thank each and everyone who helped organize this important event where our voices are heard, our suffering is acknowledged, and our future is ambition with hope. As a Rohingya student, when I was in Myanmar, I faced countless of hardships, discrimination, and unjust treatment. When I went to a school, I was not given equal attention as it was given to the community members of other indigenous groups. Despite excelling in my studies, my right to education and higher studies was taken off. I was not allowed to attend university in Myanmar. I felt like an innocent bird trapped inside a cage, unable to breathe freely. My opportunity for social and mental, emotional growth were shut off. Then came the worst. In 2017, we were forcibly displaced to our neighboring country. Our right to live in our own motherland was taken off. We become refugees unwillingly. We never wanted this life. After passing my matriculation examination in Myanmar, I had a lot of dreams. I wanted to be a government official. I wanted to be a data scientist because since my childhood, I was interested in digital technology. But I was not allowed. Then when I come to Bangladesh, somehow I managed to pursue my degree in computer science. But even after completing my graduation, in the camp, I am not getting the job I deserved. I am teaching as an ordinary teacher, although I am a computer engineer, because I don't have an identity. Because I am not, everyone say I am not belong to anywhere. When I was in Myanmar, they say you are Bengali. When I came to Bangladesh, people are saying you are Burmaya, Myanmar, you belong to Myanmar. So where do I belong? Where do I belong? Even no one recognized, but the call of my motherland never let me sleep peacefully. I will return, I want to return, and no one take that right from me to return to my homeland. I will return to my home. My home is missing me. Yes, I want to return in Myanmar, but I need equal citizenship right for me and for my children. My vision is a life of freedom, justice, and security in our homeland, free from fear of persecution and forced displacement. For that future to be real, we are the indigenous people of Myanmar, and our name Rohingya must be respected. No other false identity should be imposed on us. We need permanent guarantees that our people will never face violence, genocide, or forced displacement. We must live freely in our homeland. We must have representation in government system, parliament, administration, education, and security institutions. Our children deserve equal access to quality education, healthcare, employment, and freedom to move, learn, and work. Our language, faith, and traditions must be preserved as a part of Myanmar's rich cultural diversity. Honorable guest, the real test of peace is not in speech, but in the lives of our children. I dream of seeing my children grow up free from fear and discrimination, able to study, play, and dream without limits. I want them to become doctors, teachers, judges, and leaders, people who can contribute to peaceful, democratic, and prosperous Myanmar. This is the future I want for myself and for my children and for all Rohingya community. A future of equality, dignity, and peace in our beloved Arakan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, our second speaker. I would like to clap again for his wonderful speech. Now, in form of everyone, I see new face of the Bangladesh here. I also empathize where we belong to. This is one of my question also today in the International Conference on Rohingya. Now I would like to invite our second moderator.
From two speakers, we all know that we want to go back home and to stay, to live indigeneity with full safety and protection. So but the constant fear remains because the same military is still in power, who committed genocide, the justice had not been delivered yet. Without the guarantee of safety, I myself cannot even imagine to go back to my home. So now I would like to invite our next two speakers to share the factors that prevent us from returning to Myanmar, and the assurance of safety and security that will truly inspire us to return to Myanmar again, to our beloved motherland, Myanmar. Please welcome first Mr. Sahaj Hiro, a human rights activist, a photojournalist, and founder of the Rohingya Photographer magazine. He is also a Sahat Win Prince Plus Award and also UNHCR Non-Sent Refugee Award in 2023 for his documentary and storytelling work. And also another speaker will be after him, Ms. Zaitun Nara, a student, photographer, poet, and researcher.
Thank you so much, Salma and Mr. Kimong and Ms. Lucky for moderating this event wonderfully and very nicely. And thank you so much for inviting me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Honorable leaders, distinguished stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sahad Zahiru, as introduced by Salma. Today, I'm very honored and grateful for giving me this opportunity to stand before you and share the voice of my community. First, I want to express my profound gratitude to the Honorable Chief Advisor of the Interim Government of Bangladesh and the Foreign Ministry of Bangladesh and the chair of RRC, our Sir Mizan Rahman, and other stakeholders and who are joining this conference, this stakeholder dialogues on Rohingya issue. So, and thanks for giving us a chance to express our opinion, to share our perspective and opinions, and the idea what we can do together to solve this one of the world's biggest crises, the Rohingya refugee crisis, the Rohingya crisis. So the question of repatriation to Myanmar is deeply connected with the issues of safety, dignity, and justice. For us, repatriation is not just about physically returning to our homeland. It is about returning with rights, with dignity, and with the guarantee that we will never flee again and we will never face persecution again. We long to return to our motherland as soon as possible, but just not to survive. We wish to live with dignity, in peace and safety, with the full recognition of our basic human rights. We dream of a future built on religious harmony. But there are some factors that are preventing us from returning to our home, from returning to Myanmar. One of them is absence of citizenship and rights. The denial of our citizenship remains the greatest obstacles. Without legal recognition as citizens of Myanmar, we fear that we will be remaining voiceless, stateless, and excluded from the opportunities to live a dignified life. The second is militarization and ongoing violence. The Myanmar military and the Arkan army have been the very force of our suffering, killing, displacement, and the massacres. As we know, over 150,000 Rohingya people were forced to flee again just last year to Bangladesh, joining us. And even today, you can see, if you go to Naf River, you can see the Rohingya crossing the river, fleeing to Bangladesh. We are getting the news from the ground, from our community, from our brothers and sisters, how they are suffering, the atrocities, how they are facing the daily arbitrary detention, the massacres, the shielding, and even today there are more than 5,000 people just waiting at the border to cross the border to come to the refugee camp in Bazar to join us, because there are unrest, atrocities committed by the Arkan army, the rebel group. So no one feels safe to return under such condition. We need to make it safe. We need to make it safer for us. So we would like to go back and we can rebuild. For that, we call the international community, especially we have the IIMM, IIMM, the 45 Rights and other human rights organizations. Please push your governments, please push ICC and ICJ to hold the perpetrators accountable and to bring them to your justice mechanism, to your arrest them, release the arrest warrant, and take action against all perpetrators. So, lack of accountability, this lack of accountability is one of the challenges that are preventing us from going to Myanmar. Not a single perpetrator of genocide against Rohingya has been held accountable yet till today. So with the justice and guarantees of non-repetition, we fear history will repeat itself. And destruction of homes and livelihood. Our villages were burned to ash. Our lands, our farms, our livelihoods and our homes were systematically confiscated and destroyed. We cannot return to nothing without the restoration of our property and the means to rebuild our life. A sustainable and dignified return is not possible. And restriction on movement and services. We face the decades of discrimination and restriction. We were unable to move freely, denied our education, as one of my previous speakers explained how he could not complete his graduation, he could not go to university to study higher education in Myanmar. Same as to me, I faced the same. I was studying in the second year in the City University in 2012, and there was the riots, the religious violence against Rohingya people, and I was excluded from my university, and I could not complete my graduation. Our education was totally banned. Our movement was totally banned. We were totally restricted. We could not even go to visit our relatives in other villages. If we needed to go to the town in emergency situation, we had to take a lot of documents from the administrator, from the police station, from the army, from many people. And so the movement restriction and the exclusion, the restriction from the services are one of the main challenges that force us to flee from the country. That we fear if we face again, if we go back to Myanmar without all of this, without solving all of these issues. So we imagine a normal life, like many of you live, a life where we can travel freely, seek knowledge, and expand our horizon. We cannot rely solely on the promises from Myanmar military or the Arkan army, who themselves carried out genocide against us. They are perpetrators. They killed our mothers, sisters. They raped our mothers and sisters. They killed my people. So what will satisfy us is the guarantee of safety, dignity, and rights. We will only feel safe if there is a strong international presence, the UN peacekeepers, the United Nations, Asian member states, and other credible actors monitoring our rights and security on the ground. And most importantly, we need to empower ourselves. We need to be equipped to protect us, to protect ourselves, to defend our community by ourselves. So we can make it safer for my community. We also look to Bangladesh and OIC members, states, and the United Nations to act as our guarantors in this process. Most importantly, the assurance must include the full citizenship rights, the accountability for the crimes committed against us, and the involvement of us in the repatriation process. The world has shown us immense sympathy, for which we are grateful, always grateful. But sympathy alone cannot rebuild a nation. We need action to rebuild. action rebuilds, accountability rebuilds, justice rebuilds. So we need action now, and we need accountability now. We want justice. We want justice. Dear Excellencies and stakeholders, we the Rohingya people want to return home. Bangladesh is not our country. We are guests here, and we will go back to our home. We want to go back home. And we do not wish to remain refugees here forever. We appeal to the international community and all stakeholders, please work to ensure justice, accountability, and genuine political solution in Myanmar. And please help us make our reputation possible, not just possible, but meaningful, dignified, and permanent. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Now we would like to invite our next speaker, Mr. Hujjatullah. He is also complete his bachelor, master on pharmacy. He is now working on relevant his subject. Now you are through.
Dear Excellencies, distinguished leaders, and respected guests, today, a Rohingya girl is standing before you who have faced genocide at the age of 10. I am deeply honored to speak here today on behalf of every Rohingya refugee who have faced genocide, persecution, and displacement for decades. We are a people, stripped of our genocide, stripped of our homeland, our rights, and our dignity. We dream of returning to our Myanmar, but today, that return is impossible. Myanmar offers us no safety, no recognition, and no justice. Our citizenship was deliberately revoked. Our villages were burned, our homes destroyed, our families killed. Those remains in Myanmar under suffocating restriction, denied education, denied healthcare, and even the freedom to work from one village to another village. To return under such conditions would not mean going home. It would be returning to oppression for us. For us, true return requires guarantees that go beyond words. We cannot entrust our future to the same authorities who carry out atrocities against us. True safety, security will exist when the Rohingya are empowered to protect themselves and communities. This means training, knowledge, self-defense, and self-determination. Systems that allow us to defend our homes, our families, and our people. It means ensuring we have the ability to respond to danger, to prevent harm, and to stand strong in the face of threats. Our women were raped by the Myanmar military in 2017. Our fathers and brothers could do nothing but watch. Why? Because we are denied the means to defend ourselves. If we had the empower, such crimes could never happen. Never again should Rohingya be left helpless in the face of violence. We must prepare our people physically, mentally, and politically to return to our homeland as rightful citizens, not as a silent victim. We need the power to answer every genocider, every persecutor on equal ground. We must prepare our people. We demand self-defense, self-determination, and equality, not for sympathy. We demand the chance to protect our communities, to safeguard our families, to power, to raise our children in peace. Self-insurance comes from international community and the United Nations peacekeeper and nation committed to justice. But true safety comes from us, a strong, prepared, and empowered. Today, nearly 1 million Rohingya live in Cox's Bazar refugee camp. Behind barbed wire fence, surviving but not living. Camps are not homes, they are caves. And crisis goes beyond Bangladesh. Rohingya who fled to Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and India, facing detention, trafficking, and deportation. Why have the Rohingya been scattered across borders for years and years? It is because international community has been unwilling to act decisively. Their silence and inaction allowed our suffering to continue. The international community knows the meaning of words genocide and persecution, but we, the Rohingya, have felt, tasted, and survived the unspeakable reality of genocide. Let me be clear, we are not refugees by our choice. We are refugees because justice abandoned us and we forced to be refugees. We are not asking for sympathy or charity from the international community. We are demanding dignity or rights to live and equipment to empower and defend ourselves. Our government must give us back what we own: our homes, our land, our freedom, our dignity. Justice must not be delayed. Impunity guarantees reputation, and reputation means more lives destroyed. Do not let another generation of Rohingya grow up without a home, without hope.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Honorable guests, respected brothers and sisters, thank you for giving me the floor to speak on this important dialogue session on behalf of my community, the Rohingya community. I want to share some experiences about the camp life. Life in the camp is a daily struggle. We depend on aid for survival, but most of the support is short-term and reactive. Families live with uncertainty, restrictions on movement, and very limited opportunities. The delay in repatriation combined with absence of justice and accountability created deep psychological stress among the community. For new arrival, life is even harder, as they often lack the shelter support and their children are denied access to learning centers. Our shelters made of tarpaulin and bamboo cannot withstand heat waves, cyclones, and floods that often occurs during different monsoon seasons. Thieves can cut through the walls at night, and actually even happened with my family twice since 2017. Many lakes, toilets, and drainage that cause increasing healthcare issues. New arrivals are forced to live with their already overcrowded relatives' shelter. What we need are not luxury, but stronger, safer, and more durable homes. Healthcare is limited and often poor quality. I had a very bad incident today. We are required to do some tests to attend this dialogue, this meeting. And I went to a clinic there in our camp to do some basic lab tests. And I was told that the WHO is not supplying the kits, and we are sorry that we cannot do this test here. And I was referred to go to another clinic, and what I saw is the same situation over there. And finally, I could do 2 tests over there, and I had to come to another camp in Camp 1, and that has taken a lot of time, and I was almost to miss the bus to arrive here. And treatable conditions are untreated, and emergencies often lead to tragedy. Mental health is another silent crisis, as many of us, or almost all of us, have suffered trauma, and we are in fear and hopelessness. What we need are not more clinics, but stronger ones that equipped with qualified doctors and more facilities to do the imagings and lab tests, so that people do not need to go outside of the camp. And also, the clinics must have systematic referral system if they cannot treat a patient. And also, the clinics must have qualified mental health specialists as well. Education is our greatest hope. On the other hand, it became our greatest crisis as well. Most children cannot study beyond the basic levels. Even now, those are not even affordable because of the funding cuts. Almost 4 lakhs something were school age, and now they cannot go to school because of the closure of learning centers. Higher education is almost impossible, and I cannot see any difference that we face in Myanmar and here. And it is almost the same for the community if we cannot go to higher schools. As we know, education is like a blood flow or oxygen in the body. If it doesn't reach to one part of the body, it becomes damaged. Likewise, if education does not reach to a community, it becomes weak and it suffers. At the same time, we are falling behind in digital literacy while the world advances in technology. We urgently need to recognize education as unified education board for the Rohingya, especially emphasize in Rohingya language, and vocational training, digital skills, so that we can restore our dignity and reduce dependency on others. Finally, safety and security remain our deepest concern. Violence, kidnapping, and drug-related problems are growing. Women and girls and also children feel unsafe, fear of restricts movement within the camp. We call on the government of Bangladesh and international partners to strengthen security, ensure accountability, and provide true safety and freedom not only from violence but also from fear. On this day, we Rohingya do not ask for a luxury life, but for fairness, dignity, strong shelters, reliable healthcare, meaningful education, skills training, and safety, so that we can live without any fear in the camp until we repatriate. Thank you for giving me a chance.
Okay, thank you. I would like to request next speaker. We have very limited time. Please end your speech within 3 or 4 minutes. I would like humbly request to you. We have next speaker with the same topic, Mr. Abdullah. He is a Rohingya award-winning storyteller. He describes daily life of Rohingya through his media account. I would like to welcome Mr. Abdullah from Cam 1.
Here, he already explained so many things about the Cam life. And you have also knowledge about Cam life. We have been, as it is about almost 8 years, we are here in Bangladesh. So I don't have to say about Cam life to describe about Cam life, but what I would like to share with you is my personal experience. We have fled in 2017. So it is, we already passed 8 years in the camp, in the tarpaulin shelters. We are seeing our children are growing in the same shelter. They born in the shelter, in the refugee camp. When I was in Myanmar, I could just completed my higher education about matriculation. I could not able to go to university. So, but the experience that I practically had in Myanmar, now I can see which is possible to be faced by our children in the Bangladesh if we don't take a practical step to solve the Rohingya crisis. 8 years is not a just number. We live these 8 years. I don't know if all the people here could feel the way we feel. 8 years for me, for myself, 8 years is almost about 80 years. I think that I do not deserve a 8 years long refugee life. I could have done so many things if I had a land, identity, and everything that all the people today enjoy in rest of the world. But for the Rohingya people, a Rohingya youth, if I had a chance to introduce myself, I could not say anything because I didn't achieve anything. I didn't have the chance to achieve anything. So if we live continuously in the refugee camp and we have the generation growing up, so when people ask about, even the colleague and the friend from host community around us sometimes ask about how we see the future, we cannot answer them. And it is because we didn't have a chance to form and to have to tell and share the experience like this today we have. And for that, I would like to thank everyone who worked hard to organize this, the historical event, and all the people here present to listen to us. So I don't take much time. Already my colleague and friend share a lot about the camp life. I would like to say one thing. I see a gap in solving the Rohingya crisis. It's from my perspective. Why we didn't see any change within these 8 years? It is because there is no policy for the Rohingya people and a specific policy. We see around the world there are so many people, persecuted people, displaced people, refugees. But people, the refugee in other country, and the UN and other people and the stakeholders see them from, with a different perspective, I feel they see us in a different perspective. That those perspectives are not the same with each other. Because they think that those people, those refugees have a land, but they cannot return there because the situation is not good. But in our case, it is different. Most of the people see us as stateless, but we are not. We are not a stateless. So, if we have a policy, if there is a policy for the Rohingya people, so we, the people who see us as a stateless, so they will not think like that. And today, if we have a policy, we will not think to climb our self-determination. And we are just here to help us, to encourage us, so that we could have a chance to for self-determination. And I hope it is not just a dialogue on the Rohingya crisis. I hope there will be a solution, a decision, a good result we would have after this event. Because in my community, they know most of the people, about 100 Rohingya people here present in the section. So our relatives, people who knows us, will visit us and ask. So what we share and what we had the answer from the people here. And I don't know how I could answer them, but I just hope that there would be a best answer for them, for the Rohingya people who are waiting to listen from this wonderful section today. Thank you so much.
Dear respected leaders and honorable stakeholders, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Jihim Noor. I am a young Rohingya like thousands of others who have been duly in the refugee camp in Cox's Bazar without access to education, without freedom, without basic rights. Every human being deserves. Today I stand here not only as a Rohingya woman, but as the voice of many girls, mothers and fathers who have suffered in silence. When we are asked what kind of combination or reparation do we expect, our answer began with justice, dignity, and the right to live as a human being deserves. First, let me make clear it. Myanmar is our homeland. We are citizens by birth, not by favor. We are not beggar of rights. We are not asking for charity. We demand justice, dignity, and the freedom that was stolen from us. Second, we demand the restoration of our right as a Rohingya with full recognition in Myanmar. We want our homes, our lands, our village returned, because without a place to live, we can rebuild our lives. Third, our women and girls who struggle unimaginable genocide, sexual violence, and loss of education deserve taruma. They deserve not only compensation, but rehabilitation, justice, and equal opportunities to study, to work, and to live with dignity. And above all, we demand guarantee of non-repetition so that no child, no girl, no mother, no family will ever again face the horror that we have lived through. Reparation for us is not about money. It is about life, about truth, about justice. It means restoring our dignity, our rights, our safety, and dignity as rightful citizens of Myanmar. We are Rohingya, we are children of Myanmar. We will not stop speaking until the world see us, hear us, and stand with us. Not as a beggars, but as a people demanding the justice we deserve. Thank you all for your attention.
Respected moderators, honorable guests, stakeholders, delegates, and my fellow brothers and sisters. When we talk about compensation and reparation for the Rohingya people, we do not only speak about money and material things. It is about restoring our dignity, our rights, and our future as human beings. The world has witnessed the systematic violence committed against the Rohingya. Mass killings such as those in Gudabieng village and Tulatuli village by the Myanmar military in 2017, and more recently in Hoyasuri village by the Arkan army in 2024. We have endured repeated mass displacement in 1978, 1991 and 92, 2012 and 2016, 2017, 2024 and now even in 2025. Our villages were burned and destroyed. Our mothers and sisters were subjected to sexual violence, and our people have suffered decades of persecution and discrimination. These are not isolated incidents. They are crimes against humanity committed openly before the world's eyes. Any meaningful reparation must begin with accountability. Those responsible for genocide, whether the Myanmar military or the Arkan army, must face justice in international courts. Without justice, there can be no real reconciliation. Second, we expect restorations of our rights. For decades, we were stripped of our very identity as citizens. Our citizenship was taken away. Our movement was restricted, and access to education and employment was denied. We were left vulnerable, voiceless, and stateless in our own homeland. What we expect is simple, yet fundamental, to regain full and equal citizenship in Myanmar. We want national identity cards, the right to vote, and the freedom to live and work and learn without fear or discrimination. This is not a privilege. It is our basic human rights, and it is the only foundation upon which trust can rebuild. The cycle of injustice can finally be broken, so that history does not repeat itself for future generations of Rohingya. That we expect restitution of our lands and properties. We lost our homes, farmlands, businesses, entire villages were burned to the ground. No one in this world willingly abandons even an inch of their own lands. Yet, we were forced to leave everything behind. Since 2012, many of our people have been trapped in the C2 IDP camps. For the past 8 years, countless others have enjoyed life in the refugee camps of Cox's Bazar, where existence begins and ends under a sheet of tarpaulin. And even today, in 2025, some of our people survive only by eating leaves from the forest
and drinking water from the streams in Arkan state. This is not life. It is waiting with nothing but the hope of one day returning home. The reparation means restoring our lands and properties so we can rebuild our homes, our livelihoods, our dignity. Our children have been denied education for decades. Their futures are stolen before they could even begin. Education is the foundation of any nation, the key to rebuilding a better tomorrow. Yet, it was taken from us. We have seen how educated youth of countries like Bangladesh became the driving force of progress and development. Our young people too could help rebuild Myanmar if only they are given the chance to learn, to live in safety, and to grow with dignity in their own homeland. But instead, our educated youth and professionals were threatened, persecuted, and forced to flee. Many sought refuge in Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Saudi Arabia, and beyond. Today, too many of them survive on the streets, in detention centers, or in conditions of despair, living a life of waiting, not belonging, longing for the day they can return home, as others in the world freely do. True compensation must heal these wounds by restoring education and hope for our next generation. Finally, we expect international responsibility. For nearly 8 years, Bangladesh has shouldered the burden of hosting over 1 million of us. The international community must share the responsibility by supporting both refugees and host communities, ensuring continued humanitarian assistance, and praising Myanmar for a safe and dignified repatriation process. Honorable guests and my fellow brothers and sisters, compensation and reparation are not a favor or charity. They are our rights. What we seek is simple: justice for the crimes committed against us, restoration of our citizenship and legal rights, return of our lands and property, support to rebuild our lives and futures, and recognition of our dignity and identity. If these are fulfilled, we will not only regain our homes, we will also regain our place as equal human beings in this world. Thank you.
Active is mostly for the respected members of the diaspora Rohingya community. And I'd like to introduce our oldest and respected members of the diaspora living in different countries, originally from Myanmar. We have, I'm sorry if I'm gonna miss anyone though, we have Mr. Tonkin from UK, we have Mr. Nesseling from Germany, we have Ms. Hafsa from New Zealand, we have Mr. Javed from Canada, we have Mr. Saiful from Canada, and more. We have Mr. Nasser from US, and more as well in the audience. If I'm not wrong, almost 13 members from the diaspora have joined today. I have some leading questions for our members from diaspora, and I'd like to call on the stage to answer, to take the questions, whoever is able to. It's a very interactive dialogue, and it would be interesting to hear from the diaspora from their many decades of working experience, living experience in the refugee camps, and even practical genocidal experience from Myanmar as well. The first question I have is, does the media in Myanmar cover fact-based stories on Rohingya? And the floor is open to all the respected members of the diaspora to take on the question to answer. I can repeat the question again. Does the media in Myanmar cover fact-based stories on Rohingya?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. Your question, I think I should answer this question because I have been giving many interviews to the Burmese media and also the international mainstream media. And also, I have been focusing how they have been treating the Rohingya since 2012. Before the 2012, we only depend on the print media. And in 2012, Myanmar people start enjoying the internet. Yeah? So in 2012, when the state-sponsored violence, sponsored by the things in government, and we were treated like the subhuman. They don't even count us as a human. You know. Here also I saw Myanmar media present. I am speaking before them. They know themselves and how they have treated Rohingya people. And in 2017 as well, one-sided, they never asked any Rohingya leaders or the activists or the human rights activists for the comment. All were one-sided. The media who got the foreign funding, they use the Rohingya in the English language to sustain their funding. And in the Burmese language, they call us Bengali. Bengali term is respectable, but not for us. The people who live in Bangladesh, they are Bengali. In India, West Bengal, they are Bengali. We call ourselves Rohingya. This is not, given by us. Our forefather given this name. And we have the primary source evidence that we can prove ourselves that we are Rohingya. But the state media, all the private media, they call us Bengali, and always they said we are the invader. They call us the Kohen Bengali, that we illegally sneak into the country. They always, until 2021, all the news in Myanmar were one-sided. Anyone can come to the stage and debate with me. I have all the evidence. And in 2021, after the military coup, then they realized that whatever they have been talking about the Rohingya were wrong. Because the same military treating the entire population the same like the Rohingya. That is why they realized many people apologize us, and the media start calling us Rohingya in Burmese language and also in the English language. Now, the situation like 2012 and the 2017 repeating again. Since last year, Arakan army mistreating us. There was a massacre. Just now, my brother and sister, they mentioned about the Rohingya city or the Tan Shao Khan. I have been investigating this massacre since last year. I have all the family lists. How the Arakan army killed them. In one single day on May 2nd, 2024, in one small village, more than 600 were, including the baby, children, elderly, women, pregnant women, all were killed by the Arakan army. All the evidence are in the Bangladesh soil now. You will find the survivor and the testimony, video, everything here now. There are the UN mechanism here. They can investigate this massacre. But only I saw one media as of now. The AOD is at least asking me the comment to refute this whatever claim by the Arakan army. All other media remain saying one-sided, including the media of the National Unity Government, their media reporting one-sided. They have got the deputy minister, advisor, they didn't ask the comment from their own people, let alone the activists like me. But thanks to them, still now they are not calling us Bengali. At least they are calling us Rohingya, but reporting is always unfair. This is the reality. If you don't trust me, you can study yourself. Thank you.
I'm going to just pop up to the next question, and the floor is open to all the respected members of the diaspora again. The next question is, what kind of role should media play in the coming days for a lasting, long solution to Rohingya crisis? I can repeat again. What kind of role should media play in the coming days for a long-lasting solution to Rohingya crisis? I'd like to call Ms. Hafsa from New Zealand.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for giving me the floor. I think the role of media is crucial in many ways. The fact that I was on a panel just before I traveled from Bangkok yesterday, so the fact that we as the Rohingya community are now at a very critical moment. If this goes ahead, this repatriation is going to go ahead, it's going to be historical moment, it's going to be very critical for all the Rohingyas. So the role of media now inside Myanmar, international space, or regional space is so important in a way it has to be based on the integrity, to really base well informed by the reality on the ground. And if there will be biases, if there will be corrupted by, manipulated by any political or economic or geopolitical, whatever desire it is, it's going to be very, very dangerous. Because whenever we talk about repatriation, it is very heated, politically sensitive topic. So the role of media in that sense is very, very important. And it's not only the role of media, I would say, it is also the role of all of us in this room. And it is also the role of whoever is taking in and feeding into whatever the media is feeding us. It is our own responsibility to check the credibility of the sources. Is it really true? Is it really factual? Where is this media is leading? What is the objective of behind this media and the post and all of that? Because nowadays social media is very heated, and we have seen many scenarios and examples of hate speech, xenophobia against Rohingyas and many marginalized groups, just by a TikTok post, just by an Instagram, just by a Facebook, and just by an article that has been driven by whatever desire behind their interests, not the best interests of the community. So I will strongly encourage all of us also to do our own work. And also the role of media it must be based on the best interests of the community, and most importantly on the integrity. Over. Thanks.
So the next two questions, both of them are relevant, and feel free to stand by and answer one of them or both of them. What are the challenges for you to return to Myanmar? So that's one question. And the second one, do you think return of Rohingyas, IDPs, internally displaced people in Myanmar, to their homes will encourage repatriation? What are the challenges for you to return to Myanmar? And do you think return of Rohingya internally displaced people in Myanmar to their homes will encourage to repatriation? I guess it is for refugees who are languishing in Cox's Bazar refugee camps. And over to anyone from the community member to take on.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much to Bangladesh government hosting this quite a wonderful conference we have never had before. This is very important question. Always we are facing. What are the challenges? I think someone mentioned here 5,000 Rohingya people just beside the Naf River. Currently, when we are speaking, Arkan army killing, arresting well-educated people, elderly people who are leaders in our community. They are doing disappearances, arresting with false allegation. And many Rohingyas, since 2024, they have kept under the arrest. Many family members do not know. So the challenges now, 2017, 8 years now, Burmese military wiped us, a genocide committed. One thing everybody talk about here, justice and accountability. The first thing, justice needs to be served. 8 years now, we have not seen any strong justice comes from international level. We have seen international community, of course, we appreciate. Thanks to them for your continued support. Of course, humanitarian aid on the top line. But for the justice. Without justice, there is no peace. Without justice, we cannot return to our homeland. We have seen 6 to 7 times UN Security Council sat down. There is no such a resolution came. We have seen only presidential resolution. So here, I want to point out, we were here for 8 years. My brothers and sisters, they mentioned, I couldn't stop my tears. When I heard they are suffering, I'm living in UK, I'm a Rohingya, I fled from Burma. But I'm also a refugee, I was there. But my homeland, we all fled wherever, Bangladesh, India, UK, or Western countries. We all belong to one homeland, which is Arakan, where we belong to. That is the place where we have to return. One day, we must return. But the challenges, question is, we call in again and again, international community, justice part. But one thing, International Court of Justice, we thanks to Gambia and we thanks to many countries who are joining. Also, we thanks to Bangladesh for ICC deportation case. We Rohingya led a case in Argentina. We got arrest warrant. We are waiting from Interpol that to bring those individuals who were in the arrest warrant. But we need international community support. There are politics everywhere, unfortunately. When these kind of arrest warrants come, they must take action. So I'm coming back to get back to our homeland. The most important thing is now, international community have like-minded countries come together with Bangladesh, protect Rohingya people. Many people here also are safe zone or protect like-minded countries who join in ICJ, International Court of Justice. They can provide some protection. Without protection, how we can go back to our land? This is very important. There are many avenues international community have to think right now to repatriate Rohingya back to the country, because this is the land. I don't want to say sometimes repatriation. We want to return back to our land. That is the place where we belong to. Our forefathers, everyone, we serve in the government. We had privilege. There is also Mayu frontier. We had in democratic period time. What Arkan Army doing is now demographic changes. They wiping us from our land. We have to think different strategy. International community, what kind of protection can provide politically? Or there is Rohingya areas, how international community can protect that area by providing international forces or observers or monitoring system. Something needs to be done. If not done, this conference, what we can expect? This is happening after 8 years. From bottom of my heart, I express many thanks to Bangladesh government holding it. Of course, in New York, we're looking at some concrete resolution from this. But one thing we need to look at, protection is a top priority. Without protection, there is no way to return our land. This is very challenging, and of course, without justice, there is no peace. This is also important. And when we talk here, we need to look what current crisis. When we are speaking right now today, Arkan Army is arresting people in Buthidown. I just received a few messages. When we are speaking here, Arkan Army arresting well-educated people. Why they are doing it? Because they are committing crimes. They want to get Rohingya out of the country. What will be our future, our young generation? This is very important. Many young people in the camps, what will think they will do? What they have to do? This raised many questions. I stop here. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
I think regarding the challenges, given all the challenges listed and mentioned in the previous, rather than providing cut-up answers and some points, I think I would do a counter-challenge. There are challenges a lot. I think if we can divide the responsibilities and the jobs, like we all, those two of us, like a lot of working will finish, but the job will not finish. But I think a paradigm shift, a mindset shift when we are saying, what are the challenges, how do we address it, and how do we see it? This is not a new problem. I think it might have come up and down when there is a breaking news, when there is something big that happens, when there is a media outrage, that tensions arrive. But the problem is much persistent that cannot be changed overnight. But I think as long as we keep saying the Rohingya issue as the Rohingya issues, I think we will find problems, we will find solutions that will remain the same since 2012. But if we are able to, for example, from some of my colleagues, when I come here, when I talk to them, I said the first challenges that we need is to be able to cross the Naf River mentally, think that the Rohingya issue is a Myanmar issue is a Rohingya issue, and they are both intertwined. If we keep addressing the issue since 2012, I think our activist brothers and sisters have done a lot of good jobs shouting on the bottom of their lung since 2012, way before 2012, some of them. But yet our situations get worse and worse, day by day. And I think maybe we should start seeing that there are times where almost all the single media, that if you do a Google analysis, come back with the word Rohingya and come back with some sort of situations update. But yet, the next day, our situations, things on the ground get much worse. Maybe it is time to change the way we think, that if we keep shouting, if we keep working, if we keep bearing a lot of hard labor, sleepless night, while focusing toward the international communities, I think we forgot to look back inside the countries and we forgot to look back home while looking outside. And I think when we see the challenges, I think we should see from certain new lens and try to see maybe a new way of changing so that things on the ground could improve rather than going degrading on a day-by-day matter. And maybe I add one point to that. If any of you look back into Myanmar history, historically none of the Myanmar political problems are ever solved from outside. They're always solved from inside. Yes, outside support is needed, it is helpful, it is appreciated, and sometimes it is necessary. But I think Myanmar political problems are always solved, most of the time, from within the country. And maybe I think we should time to see, when we see our challenges, maybe a perspective shift, maybe a new way of thinking, maybe a new way of addressing as well, so that while our voice gets louder, our situation gets worse, the pattern could stop there. Thank you.
Okay. Again, I'm going back to the first question that was mainly for Neseling. Mr. Neseling wanted to answer. So what are the challenges for Rohingya to return back to Myanmar? And okay. Yeah. The IDPs, the internally displaced people. Of course, both of them are connected. Yeah. Feel free.
I think this question is important. That's why I want to take. Yeah. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum again. Thank you for giving me this question because this is very important to understand the real situation of the Rohingya. Because whenever I saw a word that pathway to citizenship, that made me really very angry. Because we are not demanding the citizenship from Myanmar. Here one sister, she used restoration. That is the correct term. What we are asking is to restore our citizenship, regardless of what happened before the Burma independence. But after the Burma independence in 1948, Rohingya were given indigenous status. Rohingya term was recognized as a race, as an ethnic group. And my grandparents and all the Rohingya in that generation, they enjoyed the full citizenship. My great-grandfather was, and also the grandfather of Kotunke, they both were Constituent Assembly members that was founded by the late General Aung San in 1947. And after independence of Burma, many Rohingya were elected. We had the full voting right. And there were a lot of evidence that cannot deny. But now, when you ask Myanmar pathway to citizenship, it is like this is due to your lack of knowledge about the Rohingya. So, now, at least 130,000 are confined into the so-called IDP camp, internally displaced camp. I will not call IDP. I will not use the term IDP because I live in Europe. I have visited all these concentration memorial sites. And also, German official that I met in 2018, after visiting those so-called IDP camp, they said this is exactly like the concentration camp. There is no gas chamber, but still these people are concentrated into this camp. They don't have any livelihood opportunity. They don't have access to the education, very limited access to the health care. And how many pregnant women were given the injection at the Sittwe General Hospital and they were killed? If you do the research, you will find. That is why a brother called them the neo-Nazi. This is what exactly happened. And the question is that resettlement of the internally displaced or whatever you call a refugee inside the country, that will really encourage here all my brothers and sisters to go back. Because after the independence of Burma, we had the national registration card. My grandparents, my parents, they had. I didn't have. And in 1982, they entered the new citizenship law and stopped issuing all those national registration cards. Prior to that, in 1974, the Newing government launched an operation called Jasmine, in English, in Burmese, Sabe operation. They conducted this operation for 4 years and take away this national registration card from the Rohingya. And at the checkpoint, wherever they saw the Rohingya, they just take away all the card. They conducted this for 4 years, and in 1978, they launched the Nagame, called the King Dragon operation. First massive wave of violence like the 2017. 250,000 had to flee to Bangladesh. Since at the time, Bangladesh gave a lot of pressure to the Newing. Then, a few months later, they were repatriated as Rohingya. Still, we have a lot of documents that issue from the Ministry of Home and Religious Affairs. They were driven off from the country as an illegal Bengali, but were taken as a Rohingya. We are off the document. And 1982, that is why they entered the new citizenship law and make us stateless within our country. So, I will short my note because I don't want to take a lot of time. So these people, all the Rohingya people in Arakan or the Rakhine state, they don't have any kind of document that will prove their citizenship. And now they give the NBC pressure the people to take the national verification card. And before that, in 1994, they issued the white card called the temporary registration card. And the very Burmese media made a lot of propaganda that in 2010, the military proxy party, USDP, want to
get the vote from the Rohingya. That is why they issued this white card. Actually, first issue was in 1994, August 17. So there are a lot of things. If I tell you, it will take a lot of time. So let me get back to the point. So the people from Sittwe, Miebo, Paukto, and the Chauto, and the Mimbia, they are still in the IDP camp. In Paukto especially, the people are starving, and also in Sittwe. Recently, the AOD, the Burmese media reported that the people are starving. Some family even suicide themselves because they cannot afford the food. So it is better to suicide themselves, they suicided. So this is what's happening. So let them to resettle back in their original home, whether the houses stay in town or those were occupied by others, it doesn't matter. But there should be the justice. Those houses belong to the Rohingya, those should be given, and if they are given the full citizenship, and if they can move freely like other nationality, other ethnic member in Sittwe, this will really encourage the people here to go back to our homeland, because they will feel that they will have the same card. But the way this military junta has done in a few years back, the delegation came here in the Bazar, taken to the Mondo and show them the small houses, that will never encourage our people to go back. I myself, as an activist, as I can influence my people, I will never encourage to go back in this situation. The situation must be with the full right and with the freedom. There is the guarantee that they will not be subject to this violence again. Then this will really encourage the people. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have only 2 more questions. So I'd like to call Ms. Hafsa again to answer the question, the first one again. Do you foresee reintegration of Rohingya in the Rakhine state for a lasting solution to Rohingya crisis? Why or why not?
Well, to save everybody's time, yes, I do foresee it is a lasting solution. The very simple and straightforward question is, because it is our home. Saying that, of course, there are many elements to consider in terms of that integration bit. Many of the previous speakers, my fellow diaspora brothers and sisters, have also mentioned about the truth and reconciliation, the genuine acceptance by different groups of Myanmar, also by different ethnic groups, because one of the elements that we sometimes overlook by some of us, not all of us, is that the denial of Rohingya existence and belonging to Myanmar, it does not only come from the government itself, it also came from many other ethnic groups of Myanmar. Of course, there is this excuse of Myanmar government is very good at dividing and separating us from other ethnic groups, but also there is a accountability bit that is missing from our brothers and sisters from different ethnic groups, is that we fail to do our own homework. Of course, there is system to blame. Of course, there is government to blame. But ultimately, it is our own responsibility to do the homework. And I did that for myself to understand about the operations against Shan, Kachin, and Karen, and others. And the same for Rakhine. I understand, it is very hard to just ignore everything that has been done to us and to my community it is still happening by both Myanmar junta and Rakhine and Arkan army. But I also understand and want to acknowledge that there is a lot of political implication in that. And with that integration, we also need to look at this truth and reconciliation. I want to reiterate that the previous speakers from the camp and amazing speakers have mentioned, there has to come also acknowledgement, and not just by the Arkan army, but also by other ethnic groups of Myanmar, from the genuine acceptance as one of them. Because we have been there, we are there, we will still be there regardless. And again, integration, yes, I foresee it is our last lasting solution for all of us?
3 to 5 things that are expected to change through the emergence of Rakhine Myanmar authorities. I think obviously justice and accountability before anything could even take place to think need to be there. And I also echo the previous speaker's comments on it is nothing in between and no new creations of new mechanisms, rather restoring all the rights, not just citizenships, but all the rights that were stripped off. And I would add maybe one point to add to this is mostly toward the international communities. That I often see very romanticizing of this citizenships, but yet when we go into the Myanmar framework, these citizenships only answer individual right questions. It doesn't answer collective right questions. And I think it is important and imperative to think Rohingyas were persecuted on the basis of identity, on a collective identity, not individual identity. And when we try to restore back, I think it is equally important that we do not just zoom in and romanticize citizenship laws so much that we forgot what was the basis of persecutions in the beginning. That it is the collective right, it is the collective identity. So when I say restoring the citizenship, I would say go beyond the steps, go beyond the just identifying the individual rights, but rather the collective rights as well. And there, two more things maybe that might require is, again, this is also toward the international community. I think a lot of us focus on the repatriation. But there were a few repatriations before, which were not just successful. And if we keep sending a ball to the other side of the Naf River, which might eventually hit the walls and come back, because this is the fifth wave of refugee waves that we are seeing. I think what we should be looking at is maybe a Lego piece that if we were able to send to the other side of the Naf River, that will snug into the larger Myanmar political architect and stay there. And the Rohingya do not have to repeat these patterns over and over and over again. If we keep sending the volleyballs to the other side of the border, that will hit the walls and come back. Nobody can guarantee that here there will be another wave in the next 30 years, in the next 40 years. So I think these are a few points that I wanted to think through, that over-romanticizing of the citizenships and forgetting the collective rights, sending the volleyball back instead of a Lego piece that will snug into the Myanmar political architect. And also, maybe this is more toward the educations, that if the education's patterns continue the way it is today, we will be sending essentially a population that will not be able to stand on its own feet. If we were to stay on the other side, we need to be able to stand on our own feet and protect our own rights. I think that's probably the last point that I will add to the 5 points there. Thank you.
All right. Looks like we're already end of the section. I'd like to keep one more question open to everyone. Members from the refugee camp or diaspora, especially to the Rohingya community members. How do you see continued hostility between Rohingya armed groups and the Arkan army in relation to your return and reintegration in Myanmar? And this is, I guess, mostly for us to be able to go back to Myanmar, but then at the same time, to think through a different way, not just through the repatriation or to imagine a magical solution to appear in front of us, but actually to think through different channels, different way, how do we get into the Myanmar? So I just wanted to clarify the question a little more in detail. And the floor is open to anyone in the audience.
Question is a little bit tricky and hard to answer. I have to accept that. But the issue is we are not addressing the root cause yet. I've been sitting here listening everyone speaking, but the root cause was not literally pointing where we should point. The perpetrator, the Burmese government, I call it Burmese, I don't like to call it Myanmarese or Myanmar because I was born in Burma. No one has the right to change the name of my country. That is my country, that's where I was born. That's why I will be using the word Burma. The Burmese government is the criminal, rapists, looters, murderers, arsonists, whatever you name it, you can find it. They have committed all the crimes that you can find in a dictionary. All of them. But they're still running free, wild. What is wrong with the world community? What is wrong with the UN? What is wrong with all the other system that we are pretending mostly, pretending to be helping? The refugees. Who made us to be refugees? I did not want to become a refugee. I became a refugee in 1978. My father was arrested. The ID card, we call mapunting in Burmese, torn apart, threw away, and then police asked him, show me your ID. And my father asked him, are you nuts? Excuse my language. That was the word. Are you nuts? You just took my ID, torn apart, threw away, and asking again, where the hell I can find another one? And he was arrested, put in a go-down in Sitwe, Akyab, and the lock was never opened. He was my father. Imagine, as a human, your family, your son, your daughters, your mother, they were arrested, put in a go-down. They are not commodities. Lock the door. Let them rot. How would you feel? Where is the justice? Why these criminals are still running free? Why nobody is doing a thing? All these neighbors, the spill, they are the one bearing the burden of the Burmese crime. Burmese government is committing the crime. All these spill over burden is on the neighbors. What is wrong? I talked to a few parliamentarians in Thailand. I was helping Rohingya refugees there. And they says, well, we are part of ASEAN and we're non-interference situation. We can't do anything. I said, so you just keep quiet. If you never throw, excuse my language, throw shits to your plot, to your house, all the time, non-stop, and you say nothing. That's how it is. Why we cannot address the issue? Where the root cause is, we need to solve the issue where the issue is actually. If we are keep addressing or treating the symptoms, the disease will not be cured. Will never be cured. So we need to address the main illness. Burma, if I term it correctly, is a refugee production factory. Burma is a refugee producing factory. You can see along the Thai-Burma border, tens of refugee camps, hundreds of thousands of refugees. Burmese refugees are in Bangladesh. Burmese refugees are in India, in Sri Lanka, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in even Laos. Laos is one of the poorest country in our neighbor. Even Burmese refugees are there. Why? Why Bangladeshi? There is no Bangladeshi refugees in Burma. There is no Thai refugees coming into Burma. So what happened? Why there is certain law or how things work is also perplexed me most of the time. Say, okay, many countries recognize the crisis of Rohingya as genocide. Really? Is this selectively, we just use the word genocide and all done? Where is the action? Where is the treatment? Why no action was taken against the criminals who are running around like, as free as anyone can be? So when we come to the question, main question she asked, the conflict between the Rakhine or the Rohingya arms group. I don't know if somebody in front of me kill my father, I will not keep silent. I will hit, punch, do whatever I need to do to the guy who is doing to my father or my family or anyone else. So if someone expects me, well, say, you know, you hit me once and hit another time, once you are satisfied, you can return. No, it will not happen. That's now human being react. So as long as Burmese government and AA, either combinedly or separately, harass and kill and rape and plunder these Rohingyas, they will rebel. Maybe they did not do it in the past. There is certainly they will do it in the future. It is the human nature. It is human nature. And there is no peace if they do not let us return to our land. And there would be people who will not let them sleep in peace. They will have really hard time that they will not be handled. That's how it is. That's how it is. So unless the other point I'd like to, I'm sorry, I'm taking a little long time. It's just getting too long a little sometime. You know, Burmese government and AA, they have committed so much crime that they become dehumanized. They dehumanize themselves. So maybe it is our collective responsibility to humanize them, to teach them humanity. Humanity is not like this. Humanity is not like this. You dehumanize yourself. We will do a favor. We will humanize you. Maybe this is the time we need to do that. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, all the speakers, members of the diaspora, refugees from Cox's Bazar camp. Again, we're almost end of the section, but I want to really thank the government, the organizers, respected members here in the room. This is the first time in history that the Rohingya get to sit in person with the host government of Bangladesh. And this is the first time have happened in history of refugees being hosted in the country. Myself, when I was in the camps for over 6 years as a refugee, I have gone through this practically. So I don't have to go back to the history or the long history that my colleague have already spoken about. You understand the refugee life because we're here, and we know there's complex situations in Myanmar as well, and not the right time for us to talk about repatriation. To me, as someone who is coming from the ground, having spent many years in Cox's Bazar and now part of diaspora, it sounds like very complicated when we talk just about the repatriation. Think through inside the country. There are so many steps to get us started with before we talk about the final stage of repatriation for the millions of refugees to return from Cox's Bazar to Myanmar. There are internally displaced people in our own country, being kept away, isolated somewhere. And in our own country, the humanitarian organizations, donors, INGOs, are not allowed to operate or deliver humanitarian aids in the country. And people are starving. No water, no food. And someday they just got forced to leave their homes and hide somewhere else. And it continues. It didn't stop. It didn't finish. And we have seen tens of thousands of refugees have again arrived in Cox's Bazar, rejoined to their families, existing families, especially starting from 4th of August last year until today. And it continues to happen, and there's no end of genocide. It not only happened in 2017. The government of Bangladesh and the host community have been allowing Rohingya to shelter in their land for more than decades now. It's not only 7 years, it's not only 8 years, it's been decades and decades long. And we still have refugees in Kutupalong who are called the registered refugee who have been here since the 90s or even earlier. So I think it is time for us to think beyond the repatriation, beyond the refugee life. Where do I start actually? That's the first question to ask. Where do we start the repatriation? It has to start from Myanmar, not from Bangladesh, again. Because the home is Myanmar, and that's where the solution should come from. We need to see the IDPs, internally displaced people, are able to return to their homes safely, without any restrictions. We should be able to see the donors, humanitarian organizations are able to provide humanitarian assistance inside the country to improve the condition and situation for the remaining members of the community. So that will, these two steps actually, will convince the refugees in Cox's Bazar to return back to home. And that's the first thing, whoever the authority of the land, it could be Arkan Army, could be military, these are the two first steps to do for them to gain trust and for us to rebuild the trust again and for us to be able to convince and return back to home. Before you talk about the repatriation, justice and accountability, whole list actually. I can keep going and going. What are the needs? But the very first steps is to happen inside the country and then talk about the justice and accountability for refugees in Bangladesh. And again, not to forget, we had repatriation in the past. My grandma, for example, who is still alive, this is her third time as a refugee in Cox's Bazar. She was here as a refugee twice when she was herself a kid. And she was sent back to Myanmar, and I was born in 2003, and when I was only 14, together we fled again. So this is her third time in the same country, in the same case as a refugee, and she's still alive. So I fear that she will die in a refugee life. She has never been a resident of a country, never been a resident of a citizen of a country. So it is just one of the many examples. So this time is not just about asking or calling for repatriation. The question is, who will be responsible after our repatriation for the human rights violation that we will go through? So we don't have to be back and forth. I don't want to see personally refugees to return back to Myanmar and start rebuilding our life after decades long, who will again become refugees in Bangladesh. I don't want to see that happen again. So to make sure it is sustainable, voluntarily, dignified, and permanent, there are a lot of steps to get us started and to begin with before we talk about just sending people from Cox's Bazar to Myanmar. Because we have had people that went back, but then they're again back here. They're again refugees here. So we don't want to see that to continue that. And again, it is a huge burden on Bangladesh as well, especially with the funding cuts. In last March, when I was here, WFP, the World Food Program, was expecting the funding cuts to go down from $12 to $6. And if that happened, for example, because the announcement were already out, that would be end of the conversation. Forget about democracy, human rights, politics, or even an inclusive representation in the camps. That would be end of the conversation. If people are starving in the camps, have no food, no meals to survive, and forget about the other things that we have in the list, the millions of problems that we talk about. The ultimate goal for us is to return back to home. And the home is in Myanmar. And that's where the solution should start from. But sadly, our community members are spread almost in all over the world. As one of our colleagues have mentioned, we have refugees almost in everywhere. And the largest populations are in Cox's Bazar, that's true. So how do we get connected and go back together again? It's a very complicated question. But then the main answer is for us not to forget, we need both. And a medium-term solution and a long-term solution as well for refugees. A medium-term is, since we don't have a deadline for repatriation, you and I, we don't know when it's going to happen. It might take a year, it might take a month, it might even happen tomorrow or maybe tonight. So since we don't have a deadline for repatriation, we need to make sure refugees have enough sufficient funding to survive in the camps. We need to make sure protections are secured, there's enough security, and refugees are not being trafficked or kidnapped to neighboring countries, to other countries, for example. And when the food cuts happened in the past, we have seen hundreds of, tens of thousands of refugees have risked themselves on a tiny boat for weeks to neighboring countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand. And if that goes down to $6, starting from January, since we don't have any donors community yet, and that will be even worse than that, whatever we have experienced in the past already. So again, the few recommendations from what we have already heard from our colleagues in the community, some of those stories actually make me cry. And it's hard for our community members to go back again to what we have already experienced, to what we have already gone through. And it's not an easy thing to repeat over and over again. So I call on each and every one of you in the room, embassies, donors, respected members, host government, host community. And again, I appreciate for everything you have so far done, and still continue to do, but this is not end of the conversation. This is not end of the world. And we need to make sure refugees, the people who are responsible for the human rights violations are being held accountable, and make sure refugees are in the table for continuation, for continued dialogue like this. And I'm so grateful, again, to the government. This is first time happened, but this is not the last one. It should continue like this in the future as well, until there's a sustainable solution for the refugees and the Rohingya as a whole. in Myanmar. I know you all are almost upset and boring, but the fun thing is, when I was a kid here as a refugee, the only food I loved was the spicy fuskas. I really hope, I highly recommend that to all of you. And I hope you all get to try this before you leave the town. Thank you.
Again, this is not the last. I think we almost share everything, and so I wanted to say is that discussion, conference, and dialogue are not like enough. It should be in the top of the priority. It should be in actions. We don't want more discussion, more conference. We have been seeing many thousands of conference discussion in international level since especially 2017, but there is no action yet. Justice is not a word. It should be justice must be demanded. It must be delivered. We Rohingya deserve the right to return home safely. We deserve to live in dignity with citizenship, education, and peace. This is not about Rohingya right. It is a universal human right. These are not privileged. This has been promised in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights list in the United Nations. I ask the international community, do not reduce our suffering in statistics in the document. We have submitted thousands of documents in the UN, to the global community. They are still silent. It has been 8 years now. I myself in the camps, I feel like I have spent 80 years in this open prison. This is not actually camp. This is an open prison where nothing matters. It seems like the day finished, the night is too long, the day finished so early, so soon. How much longer do we need to wait to return to our motherland? I do expect some response from international community. If the global attention moves in this way from one issue to another, for example, there will be always issue if there is no action. You can see not Rohingya genocidal crimes. You can see NAS Ukraine, you can see NAS in Palestine. If there is no action, the war will never be stopped. The regional conflict will never be stopped. The international community failing to take action not for Rohingya, for a peaceful work toward the next generation. Let this day be a step forward toward justice, dignity, and the return to our homelands and make a peaceful place for the next generation to come. I was born in Myanmar. My parents were born there. My grandparents, as our elders mentioned, generation before them were born there. I still have. Some are saying we are stateless. We are not stateless. We have country. We have a state. We were born in our blood are there in Rakhine state. We have a state. We have country. We are not stateless. We just need justice and action from international community. This denial of our identity must end. Myanmar authorities must stop discriminatory policies towards Rohingya and other ethnic groups in Myanmar who are facing similar issues like us. Give us our right back, freedom of movement, guaranteed that this will never repeat again in history. We will not forget, neither we will forgive, and we will not give up until we achieve. As Rohingya, we still hold on to one dream, to go back home with dignity, to sleep peacefully like others. For us, hope is our home, peace is our dreams. There is someone in the history who said once, I have a dream. Today, I also have a dream, that is peace. We also have a dream too. We are human too. We have a heart. We have hearts. We have feelings. Just be 1 minute, 1 second in our place. How will you feel if you are in these situations? Thank you so much for your kind attention and listening to us.
All right. Thank you again. Thank you so much. It's time to eat, time to sleep and rest. Last but not the least, Rakhine State, as everyone have described, does not exist with us or without us. So it has always been historically with the Rohingya and the Rakhine community, Buddhist community members, and it should always be inclusive, diverse, like he said, always been there like this. So I think we just should not forget that the Rakhine State does not exist with us or without us. So it has to be both with the other ethnic minorities in Myanmar, along with the Rohingya community. Thank you all, and have a good night.